be grateful for your suffering, guys and girls. As I've said before, be grateful for what you have. We should be grateful for what we have. But we should also be grateful for the things in life which we've been through, which may have at the time seemed like, may still seem like, they were very negative. And many of them were very negative. But we can always turn a negative into a positive, as cheesy as that sounds. Right? We can always learn from our mistakes, our failures. We can always learn from the behaviour of others which affected us in a negative way. We can always we can always see the opportunity in any given situation where another person may see only the negative. We can always take advantage of any situation that has caused us pain and learn from it and use it to our advantage in life going forward, and vow to either not let that thing happen again, or to recognise that it may happen again. In fact, there's probably quite a big chance that it will happen again. We will all go through lots of stuff in life. Some of us will go through worse things than others, and there will always be people who go through worse things than us in some areas of life. There will always be areas of life that we go through where we have it worse than somebody else. It's not a competition who's got it better or worse. The point is to learn from life. Life is all part of experiences. And it's easy to have gone through something traumatic and painful, either physically or emotionally or spiritually, mentally, whatever, combination of some or all of the above, and to then let that get you down and not move forward. But all of us as human beings should strive to move forward in life. There are lots of things that many of us have gone through in life that we can learn from. Many of us went through things, hardships as children, with our parents, with our family, and we can look at the positives about, I grew up in an environment that was pretty fucked up. And as I said before, there are plenty of people that grew up in way more fucked up environments than I grew up in. And there are people that grew up in less fucked up environments who still suffered. Some people suffered not necessarily in their family, but they may have been bullied at school by other people, by other kids. Some people may have been in a relationship where they got absolutely crushed, they got cheated on. Some people may have wanted to do a certain career, or get a certain job, and it was their dream, and they never made it, or they were told they weren't good enough. Maybe they weren't good enough. Some people aren't good enough to be professional musicians, just the reality of the situation. Some people aren't good enough to be professional athletes, that's a big one, or whatever it is. Some people break their fucking hand, or they have a physical injury, which means they can't follow their dream. Some people have to look after a loved one. They don't have the time to pursue what they want to in life. Some people have a poor family they have to look after, and their money, they have to work at a job they fucking hate. They don't have time to pursue their career or their dream or whatever it is, right? There's all kinds of such a wide variety of things that all of us as human beings go through in life, whatever the fuck it is, We've all got things that we suffer at. I've struggled with ADHD in my life. Some people have struggled with ADHD way worse than me. I was lucky that I was also fairly academically capable, and somehow my ADHD at school didn't really affect me that much in terms of grades as it affects a lot of people. Some people their parents die when they're young, or they lose a sibling or whatever. All of us go through suffering no matter what it is. I think it's important to look at the bright side and always try to see the silver lining in any, no matter how bad the situation is. Maybe you grew up in a fucked up family, and you didn't receive love and you were disrespected and put down and abused. Well, now you can be grateful for that, as weird as that might sound, because now you can choose to value kindness and compassion, and choose to to do the opposite for your children. You can choose to be a good father, a good mother, who encourages their children because you appreciate the value of that in a way that somebody who grew up in a healthier environment may not fully appreciate that. Maybe somebody dies in your life of cancer or whatever, and then you make it your mission. You can choose to make that your mission to then start a charity organisation to help other people who have the same illness. There's a guy a little Australian guy who's got no arms and legs. He's born with no arms and legs, and he was talking about all the shit he'd been through in his life. All of the obviously growing up, he didn't have an easy time with the other kids who obviously bullied him. He couldn't do the things that we all take for granted, as I said before in the video entitled "Be Grateful for What You Have." People were saying, "Oh, how could he ever have a girlfriend or a wife or children? How could he possibly be a good father? He can barely fucking walk. When he falls over, it takes loads of effort for him to get back up." We all take these things for granted. Even somebody who can't move their legs, who's in a wheelchair, in some respects, has an easier, not to diminish anyone who's in a wheelchair, but you understand the sentiment I'm trying to express, right? It has, in some respects, an easier time of it, mobility-wise, than him. It's it's such a rare thing to have no arms and legs, right? To grow up like that, and that's all you know, and to have to work 100 times harder than everyone else to move the basic shit. But he was saying that he fully appreciates the fact that he can do that, and if he didn't do that, he wouldn't have a purpose. He has a purpose. His purpose is to get up in front of crowds of people and say, "Look at what the situation I'm in," and he doesn't feel sorry for himself. I'm sure there have been times, he's a human being, I'm sure there's been times when he has felt sorry for himself, but of course he's entitled to fucking feel sorry for himself if you're in that situation, right? But it's and people were crying, watching him, listening to him, because they were "Oh my god, I have it so fucking easy, look at this guy." And this guy's got the confidence to stand up in front of people and tell his story, and embrace his suffering essentially, and be grateful for what he's got and the fact that he can now get up and inspire other people. Whereas if he'd grown up without that physical disability, he might not have appreciated life. Who knows what the fuck he'd be doing right now? You know, he could be, he for, you know, we never know, he could be one of the kids that would have bullied someone else that was in his situation. You know, that's an extreme example of somebody who, rather than moping about the fact that they, or, you know, the fact that he has no arms and legs and his life's really hard, which it is, he chose to turn it into a positive thing, to go up and speak to other people and say, look how many times I fall down. No, look what happens if I fall down. Sometimes I fall down and it will take me 100 times to get back up. And if I don't get back up after the 99th time, I have to fucking make myself get up again. One more time until I get up. Maybe it'd be 10 more times. Maybe it'd be another 100 more times. You know? And it's like, in life, whatever we go through, we should be grateful for the fact we've gone through something which has made us stronger, as difficult as it sometimes may be, and recognise if we hadn't gone through that, you know, it's the universe, God, nature, whatever the fuck you want to call it, whatever you believe in, whatever you want to call it, God's way, nature's way, the universe's way of telling you, of testing you and saying, look, here's something to make you stronger. And you can choose what to do with it. You can choose to mope about it, or you can choose to get on in life. You know, maybe your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife cheats on you. You can choose to say, okay, what's the situation? Do you still love each other? If you do still love each other, recognise that, you know, this is an opportunity to communicate with them and realise where you were going wrong and what you were missing. Maybe they cheat on you and you don't still love each other. You know, it's now a fucking opportunity for you to do what? To fucking move forward and do something else. And recognise, fuck, what the fuck was I doing? Wake up call. You know, that goes back to the idea of the hero's journey, which I've talked about before, which you can do your own research on if you want to. Feel free to do that. And it's like, we should all be grateful for every time we make a mistake, every time a task or a project is hard. You know, every time I like fuck something up, or I've tried in my life, have like, you know, fuck something up, or whether it be music, or whether it be an academic thing, or whether it be a project, or whether it be a relationship or a friendship, or difficulties I went through with my dad growing up, or difficulties with ADHD, or whatever the fuck it is. It's like I had the opportunity to feel sorry for myself, and sometimes I did feel sorry for myself, and I'm entitled to, and we all are, we're all human beings, but it's like, there are so many people, it's the easiest thing to do is to just like, oh God, woe is me, my life is so hard, look at all these things. It's like, really? There are people living on the streets, as I said before. It's like, there are plenty of people that have been through way worse shit than me in their life. There are plenty of people that have been through way worse shit than most of the people listening to this in their life. And we all have the opportunity to learn from our mistakes and push forward. You know, when I was 16, I got to a stage where people on the guitar and singing, where people wanted me to join their band and be in their band, and these same people before had been taking the piss out of me because I was so shit at guitar before. You know, but then what did I do? I decided I'm going to learn from them, play around them, go through the mocking, the mockery, right, the piss taking, and just play with people that were better than me, learn from them, and work really hard and be determined, and then become great at the guitar. Not great, but in their eyes great, good for the standard that I wanted to be at the time. And like, then one guy was like, oh, you're better at guitar than me now. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting I was better than him. I think I was about the same as him. But, you know, the point is, he was the guy that was saying, oh, you're so shit, right? Same thing happened again a few years later when I had to reach another level of guitar playing when I was in a band in university. And band called Ghouls. And, you know, I was shit again because I was in a whole other level of guitar playing, where I had to learn guitar and I had to play guitar in a very specific way, which I'd previously been able to get away with more improvisational stuff, even though I was a pretty good guitarist for a 16-year-old. No, now at like 19, 20, I'm playing with a bunch of musicians who are all doing a university degree, and the songs I was playing and the musical parts I was required to play were far more specific and far more and required far more nuance, and I wasn't at that level of guitar playing. So again, the piss taking started again. But again, the same thing happened again. I was determined to push through that, and I was playing with musicians who were better than me, so I was suffering every fucking day. Not that that's the worst thing to suffer through, obviously, as I've talked about before, abuse as a child, like people not having fucking limbs, but you get my point, right? It's like, I was determined, and then a few years later, 2-3 years later, one of the guys said, that was been taking the piss at me, was like, well, in fact, all of them at different points said to me, wow, out of everyone in the band, you've progressed the most. You're actually really good at guitar now. You're a good guitarist. Right? And I could have either sat back and gone, I'm never going to be as good as these guys at the guitar. Fuck, woe is me. The guy with no arms could have been like, oh, fuck it, I might as well die now. I might as well throw myself off a bridge and die. But then he wouldn't be there inspiring other people. So remember, guys, we all have a choice in life. We should choose to be grateful for our suffering and embrace it and use it to inspire others and be the person we want to in life. Take care. Merry Christmas. Peace and love.